Next up, we will be installing the RAM. This unit came with a single module. Usually, the way of doing this is by picking the slot closest to the processor and installing it there. If you're using dual channel or triple channel memory, your motherboard instructions may have something else specified. Alright. In order to install this, you literally just press firmly and the clips will lock in place. You can hear them click. That's when you know you have the RAM installed correctly. Alright, let's move on to the next part. Next up, we got the fan assembly for the heatsink fan. It uses your standard fan connector, which is 3 cables. The way this model gets installed is you basically just have to line up the holes on the back pane. You can see that there's clips. Once you've lined them up, you just go ahead and slide that up, and that's it. It's installed. The next order of business is to connect the 3-prong connector to the motherboard. It's quite obvious as to which one it goes to, because there's only one other 3-prong next to this particular motherboard. And this particular model has a fan shroud. It does not have a fan on the CPU because it has this shroud to direct the airflow. But we're going to leave that off for now, for sake of giving us more room to assemble the rest of the computer. Alright, at this time we'll go ahead and install the hard drive. This is the hard drive that it came with. It goes on a metal hard drive caddy. You've got 2 little prongs and 2 screw holes on this side. You could go ahead and screw that in to secure the drive to the caddy. Now on this particular model in the front of the case, which I have to move in order for you to be able to see, there we go. Alright, you have the connectors for the motherboard, which operate the power switch as well as the LED lights. Now these are color coded, so in order to get these wrong, you have to be pretty bad at doing this, in which case I recommend you hire a professional. White goes to white, and the only thing you want to make sure of is that when you press down, the connector is going straight in, because if not, you may or may not bend the pin, and that can be bad unless you're good at fixing that sort of thing. White goes to white, blue goes to blue, and we're done with that. Oh, excuse me, there's one more black one. That's done. Now we can install our hard drive caddy. Which basically goes here. And then we could go ahead and screw it in. Alright, next we will be installing the hard drive family. It's pretty simple, straightforward install. You just want to make sure that your tabs line up appropriately. Once you insert them in the case, sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and plug in the IDE connector first, and the reason being is that, well, you don't know how much room you might have towards the end of the project. So go ahead and do that. Plug this in. And you'll notice that there is a single screw that goes into the base right there. I like to leave the power supply for last, for the sole reason that clearance issues. But next, since we're running out of things to connect, let's go ahead and slide in the CD-ROM. Alright, next we got the CD-ROM. It's IDE, so it connects using a ribbon cable. It's a little bit old school. One thing you'll notice that on one end of the ribbon cable you have two connectors closer to each other than on the far side. That's because that side belongs in the motherboard. And some cases it's more convenient to go ahead and connect the ribbon cable prior to installing it into the case. And on this particular model, installation is kind of easy. Literally just go ahead and slide it in through the front. You want to make sure that your ribbon cable is nice and tight, because it will kind of pop out if you pull on it a little too hard. Also, since it's IDE, you want to be careful you don't bend any pins, because that would be bad. Alright, you just slide it in through the front, like so, pulling on the ribbon cable to guide it out the back. Once you have it in place, you will notice that there is a screw hole for a screw. Once you go ahead and tighten that up, your CD-ROM is pretty much installed, with the exception of the power adapter. For the most part, I like to leave all of my peripherals on cable select for the jumper setting. Makes it a lot easier when you're connecting it later, but that's entirely up to you. Connect that to the motherboard like so. Oh, wrong channel. That was for a floppy drive, which this computer does not have. Now you can see you have your ribbon cables hooked up for both CD-ROM and the hard drive on this side. Now would be a good time to go ahead and connect the power cables, since they're already in the way. They're not color coded, but it should be pretty simple and straightforward to tell which one goes where, considering that the majority of them are fixed in size. You got your 4-pin Molex connectors, which go to your peripherals, such as your hard drives and CD-ROMs. Now the only difficult part about this is making sure you connect them in the right order so that your cables reach where they need to go. next up, we can go ahead and get that shroud in place and go ahead and power it up before we close up the side panels. Something I like to do in case you left anything loose. You need to go ahead and get back in there again. Alright, at this point in time, we want to go ahead and install this plastic shroud. Reason being is that it's good for airflow. On these older model Dells, the plastic shroud simply just snaps into place, and you'll see where it clips because the two clips basically just line up on the corner. And it's a pretty simple, straightforward process. You want to slide it over, clip it on like so. Make sure that you got no cables in the way or hitting the fan. As long as you don't, you should be good to go. And next we could go ahead and power it on and see if it works before we go ahead and close up the side panels. Alright, we've got our computer all hooked up. Got it hooked up to the TV. Gonna go ahead and hit F2 and bam. We are in the BIOS, although you probably can't see it because of the glare. Ah, there we go. Yep, so we got no beeps on post and we're in the BIOS, so everything is good. Next step would be to install an OS. Hope you enjoyed the video.